Heroes of Lockdown! Star Wars Armada Game UK and Ireland Facebook group. Well, hello everyone. I hope the apocalypse is treating you well. We've got some more guests here on Heroes of Lockdown. I'd like to introduce you to some members and admins of Star Wars Armada Game UK and Ireland Facebook group. If you'd like to give yourselves an introduction and just give your online handle and other details, guys.
Hi, I'm Andrew. Andrew Cassidy. I am the lead head admin, chief head honcho of the group, and you may occasionally see me online as Hedgehog or Hedgehog Mech or Hedge Mech.
I'm Ian, also known as Gilarius. I tend to post loads and loads of random spamming battle reports a lot, and otherwise stick my oar in almost everything.
And I'm Stephen Brown. I play as Admiral Steve. I'm the user side of the community in the chat today. I also tend to butt into people's conversations in games and what have you, and try and answer questions if I know the answers, and just generally support people and encourage them to get started and play online if they can.
The rules guru of the group, got it.
I wouldn't say that.
Thanks, guys, for joining me tonight. I was about to say today, but it is definitely tonight at this stage. So how did you all get into Star Wars?
Well, it's a cultural phenomenon, isn't it? I'd be more surprised if you couldn't get into Star Wars. For me, I've always been a science fiction fan. Ever since at a young age, I got a book of short stories, and the very last story in it was Arthur C. Clarke's The Wind from the Sun. And from that moment on, I was hooked in science fiction. And I go everything, all the way from hard science fiction, Clarke and Asimov, all the way to space fantasy, which is basically what Star Wars is. But Star Wars is just so much fun. It's just such a great universe, and it's why I love working with Star Wars. There's just so much depth to it. Ian?
This may sound very odd, but I'm not actually into Star Wars that much. Sorry. I like Star Wars. I like it an awful lot, but I like all of the other ones as well. I like Star Trek. I like basically the science fantasy side of things more than the hard science. I've read loads and loads of sci-fi, all from Heinlein onwards, the whole lot. And I mostly got into Star Wars because of the games, rather than because of Star Wars itself. I like Star Wars, I like the films, I like all the things with it, but I don't like them more than any of the other alternatives. But the games themselves, X-Wing and then Armada, they're the things that drew me into it.
You weren't sitting on the curb for Phantom Menace, but you can appreciate a good lightsaber once in a while, basically.
I sort of sat on the curb for it, but I did that for Star Trek as well, so...
I guess for myself, I've always quite liked fantasy reading, so things like Ian M. Banks, the Culture series, stuff like that. Quite enjoy those sort of books. Quite enjoy other sort of fantasy things that turn to be topics for games. So I read all the Game of Thrones, for example. That's become a miniatures game, and so on. I didn't actually watch much in the way of Star Wars properly until maybe a few years ago, if I'm honest. My son needed something to get into, and I thought it would be a good idea to introduce him to Star Wars. Little did I know that he would become probably the biggest fan in the sort of the 10-mile radius, at least, of our house. And as a result of all that, we kind of it sort of went from something good to watch and something fun to being somewhat of a bit of a family obsession, really. So that's how we've got on there.
My son really got into all of the Star Wars stuff far more than me, but that in turn dragged me back into it more as well. But we both only started through playing X-Wing.
So that leads on to what drew you into Star Wars The Armada, the game. I think we might have Ian's succinct answer already, but...
So Yeah. So for me, I've always been a war gamer. Again, since since childhood. Starting off with, I think, as most people do, Warhammer 40,000, but then branching out into many other war games. I have about, I would say, the sort of pieces for possibly 20 different war games sitting in my home. And of course, as a lot of people did, you started off with X-Wing when it comes to Star Wars. Massively popular, a lot more popular than Star Wars Armada, sadly, but for understandable reasons. And I was always looking at Armada and thinking, I actually really like those giant space triangles. How can you not? And eventually, I sort of went online. I found a cheap core set on eBay, and from that moment on, I've been hooked, and the spaceships have just piled up. So that's me.
Yep, spaceships, definitely. So I used to play rugby. I also used to do a lot of role-playing games, and then I damaged my voice and couldn't referee the role-playing games anymore, and got old and had to retire from playing rugby as well. So I wanted something to do instead of both of those. And some of my role-playing friends played X-Wing, so I played a bit of that and went, oh, that's good fun, I like that. Nearly 300 ships later, I also had about 100 Armada ships as well, and managed to get a whole lot of other people who also play X-Wing to play Armada. Then we got a few more people local to me in Leeds to play Armada who didn't play X-Wing, and now I sort of split my time half and half between the two games.
For myself, it kind of is a follow-on from the growing obsession that I talked about earlier. My son started collecting model ships on stands just to have in his room. Such was his growing enthusiasm, and he wanted to get a MC-80 Home 1. So he was scouring the internet, and he found a model. He decided he wanted it, and it happened to be the Wave 1 expansion for Armada. Now, initially, he was a little bit disappointed. It was a bit smaller than he wanted it to be on his side, and encouraged him to keep hold of the pieces for the set that would make it into the game expansion itself. And after we'd had that for a little bit, we decided to get the expansion, so we bought one each. Initially got his one, and I got one a month or two later. And yeah, that's kind of where it started.
Beautiful ships leading to a beautiful game. Nice. So how did you all end up in the Star Wars Armada Game UK and Ireland Facebook group?
So I think I'm the oldest, longest running person here. I was already a member of the group because when I got into Star Wars Armada, one of the things you naturally do is you look for other groups, other communities, and so on to join. And I'm going to be honest, when I joined the group, it was basically dead. No one was really doing any adminning, any moderating of any kind, with the result that there wasn't a huge amount of content there, not a lot was going on. Occasionally people would post up pictures and so on. Occasionally, if you were lucky, a battle report or two, a rules question or two. But most of it was just kind of a group, but nobody really bothered with it. And then I think it was about a year and a half ago, the person who actually run it came across the group. He'd long since moved on, and he put a call saying, "Does anyone want to take over from me? Because I'm not doing this anymore."
Can I ask something just there?
Yeah, go for it.
I messaged him because he was also the founder of the X-Wing group, and he'd passed on the admin duties on that to other people.
Yeah,
and I'd tried to join the Armada group, and nobody was accepting me. I did it repeatedly. I sort of mashed the button about sort of 20 times, followed by messaging everybody listed as an admin. One guy who didn't bother responding at all, and the original founder. Next thing I knew, he'd approved me and I'd joined, and this call came out for admins. So I think it might have been my fault.
Now the pieces fall into place. Yes, exactly. But yeah, so that is what happened. The call went out for admins, prompted by Ian's messaging. I thought, you know what? I think I can actually do something with this. I enjoy the game. I'm willing to put a bit of time and effort in to help out with this. And I stepped forward to be lead admin of the group. And I think it's gone from strength to strength since then.
Yeah, it definitely has. From here, we've seen that on the user side.
Yeah, and as a member myself, yeah, it definitely has improved over last year, and it's one of the more active. Being in quite a number of the Facebook groups at this stage, it is one of the most active and innovative as well. Did you want to
Thank
say,
you.
Ian? Did you want to add more to
Well,
how you
I
joined?
could add a little bit. Andrew tried to recruit me almost immediately after I started spamming the group with, and I refused to join until I'd actually gone to an event because I didn't think I knew enough about Armada to want to be in any position of authority in any respect whatsoever. Once I went to an event, I then said, "Go on then." And Andrew also recruited a couple of other guys we ought to mention, Chris and Andy.
Yeah, and they join Adam, who came over as admin with me, and is a bit quieter on the admin side, but he's one of our so the original two along with myself, plus the two who joined with Ian.
But Chris and Andy do quite a bit of stuff behind the scenes. They just don't post as often, so you don't see their names quite as often.
Yep.
But they're doing lots of stuff behind the scenes that help run the group.
Absolutely, and I think that's a good point. Is just because you see my name or Ian's name coming up on the posts and the likes and the comments and so on,
Steve's name,
and Steve's name, of course, yes, it doesn't mean that we're the only ones doing things. There's it takes lots of different skill sets to run the group, and some of us are better at the front end, the public facing side, and some of us do work on the back end. So it's worth remembering that.
How did you get dragged into all of this, Steve?
Well, I think Andrew summed it up quite well in terms of you get into Armada and you need to find connections to the community, because it's this kind of game that you're not going to be able to play so many times with your son at home before you need people's input who've played the game longer, people's ideas who just see things with a completely different lens almost to yourself when you're playing. There's so many facets, so it was that, and my wife saying, "Why don't you find some groups?" And she's saying, "What about this one? What about this?" So I ended up joining a couple of different groups, a couple of buy and sell ones, and joined the UK and Ireland group. And I'll be honest, I don't really look at the other groups because everything I kind of need or want from the Facebook community around Armada is pretty much here in this group. But I was actually aloof for quite a while. I think I was invited there. I don't think anybody heard or sight or sound of me for quite a while to start with. I think when the sort of the more active engagement efforts from the admin team started coming through, and you started to see how people were interacting with that, it kind of emboldened myself as maybe naturally a bit of an introvert. Not that you'd guess it because I'm on camera, but more of an introvert, and to actually maybe speak up and get involved. And obviously, what I found as I've done that is actually it's been helpful, and I know people have appreciated it. I dare say some people might have interfered as well. Such is life. But it feels like people have generally appreciated the feedback, and that's good positive reinforcements to become more active in the community. And I think that's a holistic thing as well. There's a really good feel in there, which has helped that kind of momentum.
Absolutely.
But so I know, like I said, you're fairly innovative. So you've run like team battle months, Cantina Chats, even a logo competition. What's your favorite wacky thing that you've done on the group?
Oh, really good question. Okay, I'm not convinced it falls under the category of wacky, but I really like the photo competition that we ran. So we wanted new pictures. We love pictures. Pictures tell 1,000 words is the saying, and we wanted pictures partly for our header, partly so that we could include them in posts and so on, and partly just because pictures are cool. You'd like to see other people's images and repaints and battles and stuff like that. So what we did is we ran a photo competition, and we invited people to put in their favourite Star Wars pictures and take them. And we got so many responses. We got literally hundreds of different pictures come in from many dozens of different users. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was fantastic. And some of them were little snaps of a battle, and some of them people had really gone to huge amounts of trouble. They got backdrops and they'd sort of CGI'd stuff in and so on. And I just really enjoyed that in terms of the pictures that we saw, and so I think also partly the inspiration it provided for other people to do interesting things as well. And if you actually look at our group, our banner header, it's a great picture of a Star Destroyer with a Lambda shuttle escorted by a couple of TIE fighters heading towards the Death Star. That is the winning photo from our photographic competition. So that's definitely my favourite. If you want to sorry.
If you go
click on the link
in the description, you'll be able to join the group if you're in that region and see what they're talking about.
Now, if you want the wackiest thing we've done, it's actually one I've done very recently. We love our battle reports. So what I did was I thought, you know what? How short does a battle report actually need to be? So what I did is I challenged people to post a 1-sentence battle report. And we got some fantastic stuff, all the way from the very self-referential boom, boom, boom. And if you're a Blackadder fan, you'll definitely recognise that one. The sort of the humorous, something like, no, take evasive action, boom. All the way to the amazingly poetic. And if I can just find this here, we had someone say, molten and twisted debris crowded the space above Coruscant, a haphazard maze of duralloys, ferroceramics, and shards of transparent steel. And just the people's innovation, and it's something like that. It's really quick and easy to do, but it can make people smile, it makes people laugh, and it's just fun.
I suppose it engages people as well, which is the real important thing.
Absolutely, yeah. More than anything else, what all of us have tried to bring to this is really good engagement with our community. So, yeah.
And speaking of engagement, the thing I want to highlight is the one that's not public yet. Because...
Ooh, spoilers.
Yes, but it's spoilers that needs feedback from viewers. Because I've got a couple of spare spaceships. I've got a spare Nebulon and a spare Arquitens. And people know that I'm very fond of Nebulons. And I keep making suggestions for a competition to win these 2 spaceships. And Andrew keeps saying, it's all right, I suppose, but can we come up with a better idea? I want it to be something that involves Nebulons, something that involves multiple Nebulons, something that anyone can enter without needing to own the spaceships yet, because the whole idea is they want an extra Nebulon or Arquitens. But we haven't come up with a fully fledged idea that works yet. All of my ideas just keep getting shot down by the other admins and saying, nah, that's rubbish. So, viewers, if anyone's actually watching this, send us some suggestions. Something to win, a Nebulon or an Arquitens, has to involve multiple Nebulons somehow, either as the enemy or as the heroes of whatever idea you've got. The best or wackiest or most interesting or innovative idea wins a spaceship of your choice.
And they're okay to either put it in the comments here or join the Facebook group and add their idea.
It has to be onto the Facebook group, because otherwise I won't necessarily see them.
Cool.
Come on over. Join us.
1 Nebulon, 1 Arquitens. They're up for grabs for the best ideas.
Thread on the Facebook group and send me a link so that they'll be able to know exactly where in the Facebook group to go. Grand?
Yep.
No bother. We'll have that in the description. So you're getting the real scoop here. What's been your favorite activities, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know. It's wacky, but it was what we decided to do in my family to try and engage our family in sort of mine and my son's hobby of playing plastic spaceships. So what we actually did is we took our own spin on the sector fleet rules and actually ran a family scale sector fleet battle that was suitable for first-time players. So we took the Rebellion in the Rim fleet sizing and rules for upgrades and what have you. Every player had their own 200, and the family members that were playing on one team would have obviously one faction and the other. And we actually played as like a family sector, Rebellion of the Rim initial starter build battle, and it was a great way because it was just enough to make it interesting without so much going on that it was overbearing on new players, and yet we still were able to do things like get the obstacles and the objectives and all those things out because we had so little upgrades in play. It was quite easy for people to know what they were owning, what they were doing, and and myself and son were able to kind of be that kind of Grand Admiral kind of or strategic advisor on play for the two ladies in our house. So that was quite a nice thing to do, and obviously what I tried to do is then bring those things and put those on the group as well. So I've posted battle reports from those on the group, and obviously when people were after ideas on how they can kind of think of it, I think someone else at some point has sort of said they were trying to drag their other halves in, and I said, well, why don't you try this, because it might be a way to bring everyone together in a not very serious way, with lots of complexity going on.
I know that sounds fantastic, and isn't that the holy grail of getting your significant other into your war game?
That would be nice.
Oh, that sounds very cool. So then I suppose the big question is, what advice would you have, or what's the most important thing for other groups who are trying to maintain their community or grow or start a community during the pandemic?
So for me, it's all about engagement. We've touched on this earlier in this. People join groups because they want to join a community, and that means that they want to talk to other people about stuff. But people are also naturally shy. Stephen here is a great example. You were a lurker for a very long time, and the problem is, if a group consists entirely of lurkers, then nothing actually happens, and people don't bother lurking after a while. It's not that being a lurker is wrong or a problem. Some people are naturally happy with that. But what you want to do is give people hooks. You want to give them ways in which they can engage with the community, and that generates great content. So we try to be innovative. Whenever we think up something, whenever we're trying to do stuff, we ask ourselves 3 questions. Does it promote Armada as a game itself? Because we want Armada to succeed. Does it help the members of the group? Does it do things for them? And does it create great content? And everything that we do will always abide by those 3 key principles.
Try to, anyway.
But we do our very best. Yeah, we do our very best. And I like to think that we overall we do succeed. But once you've done that, you've got to do regular engagement. So, for example, we do a regular weekly, what we call a Cantina Chat, where we open up a new topic and we ask for people's opinions. And what that does is that creates that community, because rather than have anyone else having to create a topic and then ask for comments, we give people topics, we give people ways for engage, and they range all the way from the very serious, what do you think about this particular tactic, all the way to the very frivolous, write a 1-word battle report, and we've even done some stuff that's more generally Star Wars based. And I think it barely a day goes by when one of us is not posting up something new, a new way to engage our group members, and they can engage as little as they want. Even something as a little like of a post that you like by someone, all the way through to a complex answer or their own posts and battle reports. All of that adds to the group and the group engagement, and that then grows the group and prompts more people to engage. So it's a feedback loop, but it's started by the admins and the active people, and then it grows and grows from there. The more people are engaged, the more people become engaged because more people are engaged, and so on and so on. That's the secret. Get people started, give them hooks, engage them right from day one.
Yep. And then the next stage is to recruit more people to assist with this, because there's too much for one person to do. If you want to keep a community going, you want it to be self-perpetuating. Mm-hmm. You've got a finite lifespan as someone running a group. Everybody eventually will tire of it. They will move on. Run into this with scouts, run into this with all sorts of other activities. You've got 3 to 4 years generally, at the most. Some people only last 6 months. Others, as I say, will stick with it for the rest of their lives. But you have to plan for people to move on. So we've been doing a lot of likes of posts, for instance. I generally put some sort of reaction to every comment and every post someone makes. Andrew does the same. He started it before me. I've done it. Stephen started doing it without any prompting or anything. There's a few other people who are starting to join in on that. The more people who do it, the more other people will do it as a matter of course. Then they get involved. They get stuff handed over to them. Like Stephen here, I invited to join in because he's been taking over a lot of the showing people how to do games on TTS. I haven't had time to show new people for that. Stephen, unprompted, has just joined in and done that. And that's why I invited him onto here, because I'm basically grooming him to be another admin. He may or may not ever be an official admin, but this is one of the stages. There's 3 or 4 people who I've been encouraging to step forward and help with this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So spread the load, move it on.
Absolutely, yeah. And the likes and comments thing is a really good point. Again, people go on to be engaged, and getting a like on a post, it feels good. It gives you a little bit of a endorphin rush. So we try and do it as much as possible. I try. I don't always succeed, but I try my best to abide by principle. Every post someone puts up, I'm going to comment on, and I'll comment on many comments as well. I'll try and like or otherwise react to every single comment that's posted on the group somewhere. It may take me a few days to get around to it, but I'll see everything that goes on there.
I guess for myself, I can reflect on how I've got more engaged, perhaps, and sort of say for me what that was like. And I think for me, it was there was enough opportunities being created, either by the admins or others, where I could get involved in an informal way. I wouldn't say I'm the like the expert or the best strategist. I'd say my recent games prove I'm not the best strategist. But what I find is that engagement with people, the informal nature on the Facebook group that leads into the friendly relationships with your peers that grow up over time from the group, and you become opponents, and you have a good old debrief at the end, and face palm this silly thing you did at like deployment. First ship down was the wrong thing, the wrong place. I continue as well. But it's given those lots of little informal opportunities to contribute in just a little way. Has led to me being more confident to maybe contribute a little bit more. And so my confidence in being able to bring value to the community as a whole and give something back, I guess, for all that I've gained from it. It is kind of what's important for me. And I would say if you build the community, getting that kind of opportunities for people to put their own content in, put their own opinions and thoughts out in a completely friendly and open way, which reflects really the Armada community as a whole. I would say, in my experience, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that comes from like the age bracket of Armada goes all the way to the older wargamers, all the way to the new people. And I think it's kind of between that spread. It's kind of everyone's kind of looking out for everybody else. But
yeah.
What you got? Is there anything else anybody'd like to plug or talk about?
Discord, online play. We can't play for real. We've got lots and lots of opportunities to play online instead.
And it's Wednesday nights as your regular online
I'm
night.
trying to encourage people for Wednesday nights in particular, but anytime they like. Finding games either via Facebook or via Discord. They're all good. And this is how we get more engagement and people get to know each other. Not just by chatting through on comments, but actually playing games against each other.
Absolutely. And I'd absolutely echo that. We started off early on in lockdown with an online campaign to promote use of Discord, and Ian and Steve definitely, they are our two online tabletop simulator online play experts. They are the people, and I sadly don't have as much time as I'd like to play online. for me, upcoming, we're currently in talks with a supplier about running, getting prizes for a painting competition. So keep an eye out on the group. And again, as with all of our things, what we're going to do is not just reward people who are good painters, but reward everyone who does any kind of painting. So watch out for this. Watch out for this space. There'll be some stuff coming up for that soon.
Perfect.
And the Nebulon and Arquitens competition
as well, yes.
Which is now open and live.
And we'll have a link to where you need to go on the Facebook group in the description as well. Listen, gentlemen, thank you so much. Not just for joining me here this evening, but like I've been a member of that Facebook group for about 3 years, and really the stuff you started doing in the last little while has been great, you know. And you know, it as a member of your community, thanks very much as well. All right, listen.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
If join the Facebook group if you're in the region, join the Discord, and even if you're looking for regular tabletop simulator opponents, it's even good for that, even if you're not necessarily in the UK or Ireland.
I'll echo that. We are called the UK and Ireland Facebook group. We don't care where our members come from as long as they love Armada. We have members all the way from the United States all the way through to Singapore, and we welcome you one and all. And there's no, other than the group name, it is focused on the UK, but there is no restriction whatsoever there, and everyone is eligible for everything that we do.
Yep. Okay.
Listen, thanks very much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.